Everyone, before I go off to sleep because it's pretty late, I just want to actually make a just a really quick, a very short video about something that I noticed, and I was wondering because I thought about the whole thing concerning why our current day right now. You know that we have a lot of things going on around the world. You have the Israel Gaza conflict, and yeah, people making out to be a case of genocide when it's not, and it's become a kind of like a anti-Semitic kind of thing. And then you have like the war in Ukraine. There was the invasion, yes, the Russian-led invasion of Ukraine, followed now like with Russia trying to point the finger towards Ukraine, and claiming that they were responsible for the terrorist attacks in Moscow is really ridiculous. I had a kind of disagreement with a Russian friend about it. She actually believes in the propaganda of a government, uh, but it's pointless to try to convince people when they are being brainwashed. So, but the whole thing is this. I kind of realized this because especially coming from my own experience and everything, that I kind of realized that our world has a tendency to believe in conspiracy theories, and conspiracy theories like it was something that actually kind of it dawned on me that the whole world, like there are different kinds of conspiracy theories. For example, that during the cold the no no I mean the pandemic and everything, there was this theory that what was the theory? The theory that was like it didn't really exist, that the whole pandemic was created as a hoax to stop Donald Trump or some particular government from being in power. And then you have even before that you have various kinds of conspiracy theories. For example, the one most famous one was the one about September 11, claiming that September 11 was an insider job, and of course now you even have the claim that the October 7 Hamas terrorist attacks on Israeli civilians was something that was actually a case of the Israeli government and the security intentionally creating a lapse, not doing anything despite knowing about the possible attacks, so that they can have an excuse to actually go and wage a war in Gaza. That there have always been such kind of like conspiracy theories around and around, and you just kind of realize one. I mean, this is just one the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what we know about conspiracy theories. They've been around for like ages and ages, and even before the term was coined by the CIA in the West in the English language. Okay, there are people who have been believing it for a long time, and what kind of like conspiracy theories, for example, it just I mean let me just say something about even conspiracy theories or ideas, beliefs, like the idea about the one world order, which by the way didn't come from the Bible. It didn't come about from the Bible, which is kind of odd. It was just some particular fashioning by some, like the whole idea of the new world order. All these are actually things that didn't come about. The Bible didn't have those terms, but people created all those things based on certain like emotional things, certain like reactions, and even for example, the idea of the rapture, the rapture being the idea that like we'll all be swept up into heaven if you are like a Christian believer, and then that will leave all the non-Christians behind to suffer, and there'll be some. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. I never believe in it, um, even in my days as an evangelical Christian. But it just makes you realize, the human race, we have an obsession with conspiracy theories and doomsday theories. But why is it so? And the whole thing, you have like mixed, like certain kinds of like sectarian uh, cult groups, not just cult groups, but even religions that arose because of that whole idea of potentially the world coming to an end, or some particular groups are causing that the end of the world, the judgment, And it's just disappointing when you remember that. And but I kind of understand it even now that I come think about it. It's just like it's a common human thing. Okay, we love, but why do we do that? Okay, there was a recent thing that I read. It was in the Scientific American, this journal. I can't really uh, quote it off at the top of my head now that I can think about it. But let me just search link between is the link between conspiracy theories and also psychological disorder. Yeah. So okay, this was actually an article that was in the Scientific American, and this was actually 2019 article. Yeah. Written by Melinda Wiener Moyer. Wiener Moyer. So Wenner, yeah. So the article was actually written on March 1st, 2019, and the title was "People Drawn to Conspiracy Theories Share a Cluster of Psychological Features." So the headline was like that it went this other than the headline, there was like another subheading that baseless theories threaten our safety and democracy. It turns out that specific emotions make people prone to such thinking, according to Melinda Weiner Moyer. So it's a very long, article, but what she said was in reference to Stephen Lewandowski, okay, Lewandowsky, so who was actually at the point in time at the University of Western Australia, and he was a cognitive scientist, and he wanted to study why people, some groups of not people in general, but some groups of people choose to refuse certain things, despite the overwhelming evidence, including things like global warming, and that our responsibility for this causing it, and he discovered that many of the so-called naysayers actually were like conspiracy theories. Yeah, most of them believe in certain outlandish certain ideas, such as the idea that the Apollo moon landing, the Apollo 13, that spaceship landing on America was a hoax created by the American government. There are people who believe in it, even here in Singapore. It's so ridiculous. Like there was a Chinese cultural chauvinist and everything, and basically what he said was it was totally uh, conspiratorial nonsense that was being spread on the internet. But when he published it in 2013 in the journal Psychological Science, this conspiracy theories reacted immediately. They weren't just offended. They tried to do a thing where they, like when you are proven wrong, because they don't have any hard evidence. What they did was to engage in certain things such as basically criticizing his integrity online, what we call the ad hominem attack, and then demanding that he be fired. He wasn't fired, and then he moved subsequently. He transferred. He was in the University of Bristol in England later on, and as he realized one by one of all this research and everything, Lewandowski, okay, found that basically that all those critics, those conspiracy theories, were not exactly just believing in conspiracy theories. They were also spreading new conspiracy theories or lies about him. Okay, so not and then they started doing things like making false accusations and including death threats and everything. So what does it actually say about us? I mean, of course, we know that a lot of these kind of conspiracy theories reveal a lot of those. There's something wrong with the psychology of these people, but what exactly leads them to believe in that? It actually has to do with that idea. Okay, there was another study that was being done, and um, according to what this article did in summarizing, it said according to Viren Viren Swami Swami, who was actually a social psychologist at Anglia Ruskin University in England. When he studied certain things about this phenomenon about conspiracy mongering, he found that basically there are certain connections of certain emotions. Okay, the people who believe in conspiracy theories and who actually spread them, not just believe in them, but even spreading them, they have certain tendencies in them. reasons why they do that. Okay, and even not just conspiracy theories, but people who believe in it. Like for example, the idea that the world is ending. That there's a so-called global conspiracy to end women. There's some people who believe that they blame men for it, and they say that, oh, the misogyny movement is strong. And why do people do that? Okay, the link, one emotion that was being actually discovered by all these social psychologists was that there was a very strong sense of anxiety. There's a very strong connection. So like according this is the American Psychiatric Association in May 2018. Okay, they released the results of a national survey suggesting that 39% of Americans felt more anxious than they did a year ago uh, in different areas: health, safety, finances, politics, and relationships. So compared to, let's say, there was another like 2017 report which found that 63% of Americans were extremely worried about the future of America, and then that 59% consider that the low point. This is the lowest point of the American, the United States in history that they can remember. So obviously, it is across the board of your political affiliations, whether you're Democrat or Republican or even Independent. Regardless of that, and the whole idea was there's a very strong sense of anxiety and existential crisis. So because of that, there was a sense that this whole thing could actually promote a tendency to think along the line of conspiracy theories. And then there was also a 2015 study in the Netherlands, okay, which is not this is outside the context of America, where researchers they split college students into three groups. One group was primed to feel powerless. Okay, where the scientists asked them to recall and write about time in their lives when they felt they were not in control of the situation. Then those in the second group were actually cued in the opposite direction, where they felt that they were totally in control. So, and then there was a control group, or obviously the control group being a group that was neutral. They were asked to describe something neutral, for example, what you had for dinner last night. So by doing, then they asked these groups to, the final thing was to ask all these three groups, according to the researchers, to describe what they felt about, for example, the construction of a new subway line in Amsterdam that had been plagued by problems. So there was a whole thing that was found. The findings of that particular 2015 report or study was that those who were primed to feel in control, that was the positive group. The positive thinking group was actually less likely than students in the other two groups to support conspiracy theory. So basically, what it indicates is that when you have been primed to think about something in a very negative way, you're going to think about other affiliated issues, other things such as the conspiracy theories in a very negative way. So I was, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I have been, warning people in my recent videos, don't just take it for gospel read. I know that is very sensationalist. People find that very entertaining. My channel doesn't have that many followers, but there are some channels where people have like thousands and thousands of followers, and uh, they claim to be experts. They claim to be this just based on experience and everything, but experience or whatnot, they buy into certain emotions. There is a kind of like, it's not even logic anymore. It's illogic, Lilogic. So the whole idea, for example, saying that I'm sick and tired of misogyny. I'm tired of the patriarchy. Um, I've said already, like things like misogyny, which is a hatred of women, or even misandry, which is a hatred of men. Like they are both basically two ends of the same bad coin. Okay, two sides of the same bad coin, two ends of the same spectrum of just bad behavior and bad ways of thinking. Because why? They run on emotions. So you know one thing, patriarchy is not going to solve the problem. Yes, it's causing problems, but so is radical feminism. It's going to cause problems because what do all these so-called ideologies support? They blame one group. They just want to assume that there's a scapegoat out there, someone to blame, which is very much similar to conspiracy theories. But what kind of emotions do they actually subsist on? Basically, as I've said, according to what I've all those things I've narrated, there's a strong link and connection to anxiety, And because of that strong sense of stress and anxiety, okay, it leads people to think in a very negative way. So anytime if you come across like YouTubers or people on content creators who actually make such kind of videos where they blame one particular group, that these people are not really the experts that they claim to be, because they actually are very conspiracy minded. And I don't need to name names, because we know there are quite a number who actually have a um, especially in the community of people who have been undergoing so-called narcissistic abuse, there is a very strong tendency to think that someone is out to get you. Okay, but all this, as I said, is linked to anxiety and the sense of an existential crisis. And sorry about the pronunciation. So, and of course, there's also, other than the existential crisis, there was a claim that feeling alienated or unwanted will actually make conspiratorial thinking more attractive, according to this article in the Scientific American in like 2017. Princeton University psychologists, they set up an experiment with trios of people. So all participants were asked to write 2 paragraphs describing themselves, and then they told them that these descriptions will be shared with the other two in their group, who will use the information to decide if they will work with the person in the future. So they basically, after telling some subjects they have been accepted by the group and others that they have been rejected, these researchers evaluated the subjects' thoughts on various conspiracy-related scenarios. So you see, the whole thing is very similar to the one done in the Netherlands. So they found that as a different set of different discovery or results, that rejected participants from the rejected ones, those who were told that they were rejected before they were told to evaluate their subjects' thoughts on the conspiracy related scenarios. The ones who thought they were rejected were more likely to think that the scenarios that they were told to describe involve some kind of a coordinated conspiracy. So I hear it a lot as well, even in the community of narcissistic abuse and DV and SA, where people say, "Oh, it's the last days." No, it's not the last days. The last day have basically a lot of people. I mean, being orthodox, there have been a lot of talk about this. People, why do we hear that? Even I mean, we don't talk about a lot about that. Even I know that Catholics don't talk a lot about that as well. And then compared to, let's say, the evangelicals who were harping nonstop saying that the rapture is going to happen, but there's no rapture. It's not going to happen. Okay, this is something that was built on a girl's dream, and then people misinterpreted that dream and thought it's very cultic nonsense, but it's very conspiratorial again. And what made it so possible was the idea that people were in extreme anxiety during the 18th and 19th century, and that led to the whole formation of that whole idea. Like the Plymouth Brethren was a particular group or denomination that basically fed out the whole rapture anxiety. And then there were other groups such as the Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, the coming cult groups as well. And even now we have all these kind of things. Even like people who are going around doing stuff like I heard about this group. There was a group of people who were suffering from religious anxiety after leaving their religious group. One woman was telling us that, telling me and other people in the group that her brother was a very good example of that kind of person. He was going around killing a few people. He went around killing a few people, unaliving them, because he claimed to be a prophet of God, of Jesus, saying that the rapture is coming. So it's called rapture. She said it's rapture anxiety, and while killing or unaliving other people, he roped in his second wife or girlfriend as his so-called accomplice. It's like a Bonnie and Clyde. It sounds very much like Bonnie and Clyde. They went around, hurting people, and destroying them physically, in the attempts to think that, by doing so they will hasten the second coming and the rapture. And which is like, wow, it sounds so far-fetched. And she said, you know what, but the irony is really real. It happens. And that's why she said rapture anxiety is really, really real and is actually very destructive. So the connection of anxiety, sense of alienation, all these things, all these existential emotions that are negative, they create that kind of space for believing in all this. Okay, and it's not even personal crisis, it's actually existential, like on a collective level. So I feel that, especially now as I grow older, today I was at a psychologist, we're talking about it, and she said, do you think that you have like what would you do for the like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe when you were 39, 38, before you even met the abusive narcissists in your life, the ex-abusers. What would you have done? Would you have gone up to the older self now that I am now, who's like 47, 48, who's trying to change my life around and do different things? Would you have gone up? What would you have gone to your younger self? It's not that young. It was still like in the late 30s. But what would you have done? Gone up to him to do to comfort him? I said, actually, I think I would have probably just gone up and just give myself a hug and say and pat myself on the shoulder, saying, you know what, I you did what you did, then not because you were not good enough, but because you actually were operating based on what little you knew, and it wasn't right. There were mistakes, and some parts of it were also things that led to me getting into situations I don't want to be in. Okay, like emotions like fear, fear and pity. These two emotions were the worst emotions to feel towards abusers. Okay, but that made me realize, the whole thing when I linked that to the conspiracy theories. I kind of wonder, are we now in this community of abuse survivors, or whatever? Are we going around blaming one particular group, like scapegoating someone? Because if we are doing that, it makes us no different from our abusers. Okay, and I think that with some women, they do an awful lot. I told one student yesterday, and he said, some of these women, he said, maybe they're just, they live through a lot more trauma than you ask. To say, yeah, but there's no excuse to blame everyone. And some of these women blame all men. Okay, I started realizing this, and I didn't really want to talk to any one of this particular ones. I don't want to name them. I think they know who they are, and they're still really rabid, rabid, because they're very angry. And man, they keep on blaming everything is like a big collective system. But you know what? The problem isn't. It's not just a problem. It's not a problem with misandry or misogyny. It's not a problem with feminism or patriarchy. The problem isn't all this. Okay, the problem is actually you. Okay, I don't want to sound like I'm gaslighting someone, but why are you the problem? You're not the problem in the sense of the bad problem, but it's you are not healing or recovering. Okay, there was a saying that I came across last time, that if you refuse to heal, okay, HEAL, your wounds, you're going to bleed on the next few people you meet. And I kind of like, wow, that's great wisdom, because you know why? Most of the time, you'll be surprised, a lot of the people we meet just right after an abusive relationship or situation, a lot of them do not actually want bad things for us. They really want good things for us. They want the best for everyone. Okay, but because we are primed to think that everyone is out to get us, okay, we are thinking along in the line of conspiratorial thinking. Okay, we think that the world is just a bad world out there. We keep on replicating that pattern, even in the ways we react to people who are good people. And this is the point with a lot of this, like narcissistic abuse survivors in their channels. They blame everyone. Okay, so I said the problem is neither any all these ideologies or all these tendencies or these problems of society. The problem, actually, you are the common denominator, because you are blaming everyone but refusing to look at yourself. You're refusing to look at your wounds. Okay, your past does not warrant you bleeding over everyone else. Okay, our responsibility is to bind those wounds. Okay, and it doesn't just mean going to a psychologist or psychiatrist to ask for help, or even a counselor ask for help. It's really just refusing to actually become negative and jaded. Okay, there are people who are like that. Okay, like some girls say, I hate all men. Some women say, I hate all men, I will never date. You say, you can choose that. And even, my psychologist was saying to me, you can choose not to date anyone, not to be with any friends, or not to have friends. But wouldn't that make all that the abusers predicted or about you true, that you're going to become the lonely person that they say that you will be? And it suddenly dawned on me, yeah, she was actually saying something quite truthful. And I realized that, life is too short to be so negative, to expend time and energy, expand, EXPAND, no, not expand, EXPEND, so yeah, to expand, to waste all the energy on hating and blaming certain people, okay? And that Melanie Tony Evans had a very good analogy. She said, let's say that if you were bitten by a snake, or let's just not just say even bitten by a snake, or if you were stabbed in the back by someone, will you just go, instead of like trying to heal the bite, the wound, will you go and ask the snake why it beats you, or ask the person who stabbed you why he did that? You do that? Your priority should be learning to address the wound and heal the wound first. But a lot of people don't do that. Okay, they go up and say, I want a reason, why do you bite me? Why do you stab me? Okay, and this is precisely what all these so-called experts are doing, blaming one group. I virtually stopped watching some people's videos after I realized that, and then I said, what, I don't want to be mean, but I think that they probably will start realizing years to come later on. Maybe they might never realize it. They might continue with all this like conspiratorial thinking, and it's fine, because I don't lead their lives. And psychologist also told me herself, when I was telling her about how I was telling my friends to stop attending certain like prosperity gospel churches. She said, what, sometimes, Kevin, she said, you can't be responsible for everyone. That's the problem with us all, as she said, that and by doing so, you're making yourself responsible for other people. We're ultimately responsible for ourselves and how we treat ourselves and other people. Okay, and then that made me kind of realize, oh yeah, that's true. So she said, what? Of course, a lot of this so-called, she was saying, more in line with the whole thing about this, false teachers and preachers, and who are probably also spiritual narcissists. She said, what? The thing is, these people are very charismatic. They are very good at using people and exploiting people. So that's just the truth of it. And you've done what you can done, but sometimes people won't listen to you because they are really under the spell. Okay, and yeah, so what's the takeaway from all this? I'm just saying that, what, if you are primed to think about things in a very negative way, you think about it in a conspiratorial sense, a very negative sense, everyone that you meet is going to be a narcissist. You diagnose everyone, and then even if the person is not a narcissist, you'll be insulting the person, saying that, what, you got deceived by a narcissist, serves you right. You become no better from the narcissist yourself. Okay, and I hate to say it, I don't think I'll be following any more of this kind of channels anymore. These people, because I found that they were quite negative as time went by, and I realized the way they talk doesn't agree with my vibe. Okay, that's not my kind of personality. So anyway, that's it for now. Okay, I'm just off, and I have to go and do my work tomorrow and everything else as usual. It's really hot. I'm sweating, perspiring, and all. So this, yeah. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good day. Good night for some people. Okay, so you know what? Stay stay positive and optimistic, and focus on healing and recovery, not on blaming people. Okay, okay. So have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.